So I think I'm going to hand over to my colleague Shanil here, who's going to take, I think this is probably the part where most of the questions and concerns will be focused, which is, what do you do in the age of COVID-19 here in terms of PPC optimization? So I guess before I hand over to Shanil, just a quick sort of caveat. I mean, this is the stuff that we've been seeing over the past few weeks, speaking to our customers and speaking to other people, I guess, in the community, to just what are their issues, how are they thinking about it. So, again, this is very much, I guess, in general, in a way, but if there's specific questions to your situation, of course, super happy to answer particular questions in the Q&A section.
Should I go, Rael?
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, well, yeah, just kind of echoing what kind of Shelley and Rael saying. These are kind of weird times right now, so we're seeing a lot of kind of volatility in the market. The consumer behavior is changing day by day, which is kind of affecting the performance overall in terms of sponsored products. So, in terms of the actions that you should be taking, is kind of very dependent on what situation you're in, because we kind of break it down to two kind of sector, right? So you see certain sector where it's high in demand. For example, the CPG sector, you have, for example, the supplements, the vitamins, the hand sanitizer. These are kind of market that's seeing an uptick in demand because these are essential goods. Whereas you see kind of sectors that's falling in demand, such as clothing, luxurious goods. People are not going out to buy clothing, or people are not going out anymore. People doesn't have disposable income because people have been made furlough, losing their job, so they don't have enough income to buy luxurious goods. So I think based on these two kind of sector, your PPC should be tailored around these two sectors. So I think the first kind of point is if you're on a kind of a low demand sector or seeing a decrease in demand, really your kind of top focus should be focused on profitability. So really understanding what your break-even A cost is, and really focus on not going above your break-even A cost, because the demand is not there. And one thing that I've kind of picked up as well is that, rather than pausing your campaign altogether because you're seeing a high A cost, kind of really focusing on the search term or keyword that's having the highest conversion, the best performance, and really allocating more budget towards these search terms. So you're basically double down on these search terms that's kind of performing well. It's not there. The best kind of option is to really cut down and trim down on your PPC by eliminating some of the top of funnel advertising, for example, sponsored brand or sponsored displays, as well as research campaign, right? These are kind of a wider net campaigns. So really focusing on like exact match campaign where you can focus on specific keywords that's bringing the best ROI, or product targeting campaigns is kind of the best strategy if you're in a low demand sector. The second point is if you are seeing an uptick in sales and you've kind of resolved your supply chain issue and you kind of maintaining inventory, these are kind of perfect time right now, almost like Q4. Even though PPC might be more expensive because it's a bit more competitive, but it's still kind of good time to really capture that surge in demand, and there's an increased visibility on an online presence as well. So again, running kind of sponsored brand and DSP, you can capture that increased demand for people coming on Amazon, so you can get your brand out there in front of the audience.
Just a quick one there, Shanil.
You want to add something?
Yeah, I was going to a quick one. DSP is Amazon's demand side platform. It's the display advertising, so not the search side, but the programmatic display, which is kind of off Amazon advertising, where you can do retargeting, etc. I mean, if there are any sort of additional questions on that, happy to take them later.
Yeah, so thanks, Rael. So the second point is really kind of tying into the first point, right? This is kind of a volatile time right now, so it's kind of very important that you kind of keep a daily eye on your performance, especially your conversion rate, ACoS, and CPC, because kind of all three of them are kind of interdependent. Because if you're seeing an increase in ACoS, one of the reasons probably is because your conversion rate probably decreased or your CPC is increased. So keeping a daily eye on this metric, because of the consumer behavior is changing day by day, is kind of very important to make sure that you are within your target ACoS and basically hitting your goals. And kind of the third point is looking closely at your competitors. So looking at the landscape out there. So identifying whether if your competitor's running out of stock, maybe this is kind of perfect time because we're probably scaling down on ads because we don't have sufficient stock available. So this is kind of perfect time maybe to increase your budget on a particular product that your competitors don't have stock in. Again, just kind of looking at the landscape and identifying what your competitors are doing. Are they scaling down on ads? Are they running out of stock? And just identifying these sort of points. You want the next session, Rael? And the kind of fourth point is really if you are, if you are facing supply chain issue, as in there's not much you can do in terms of, as in the only kind of thing you can do is really scale down on your PPC. And I'll probably most likely pause my PPC for these products that you run out of stock on and really allocating more towards, your best selling items that you have stock in or products that you have high conversion. And also one thing that we've noticed is that depending on what fulfillment center you're in, there's different as in lead time for these products. So looking at your different ASINs that you're selling and identifying which of them has the least shipping time and allocating budget towards these products that has the least shipping time is kind of a good way of allocating your budget towards these products.
Yeah, just a quick story on that, I guess. It's interesting. I mean, we've seen some of the behavior where initially there was quite a drop in the conversion rate, meaning people would click on one of your ads, then see that it's going to take a month to get the item, and then not buy anything. But actually, what was quite interesting is a sort of week or two later, those conversion rates started increasing again because I think people realized Amazon's still the best bet, even though it's going to take that time. Nobody else can get it there quicker anyway. And so, yeah, I mean, we've had customers that prioritize their ad spend on the shortest shipping time. So the ASINs that have the shortest shipping times, because that's again what sort of people buy on. I mean, that's anecdotal, right? I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to create a rule around that, but it's just something to consider in terms of people's buying behavior.
Yeah, I think one of the points to that is which kind of leads to the bullet point is that if you are running out of stock, you probably kind of be careful of increasing your price because it's kind of can probably be seen as price gouging in Amazon's eyes, so it might kind of impact you negatively. So maybe an incremental increase in price would not affect it so bad, but as in increasing it dramatically will probably affect your kind of performance altogether and probably give you a negative. I don't know. Amazon might class as a negative thing to do. The next point is, like I said before, if you see kind of a high ACoS in your campaign and it's above what your target ACoS is, rather than pausing the campaign altogether, you want to really drill down and go a bit more granular because at the end of the day, right, a campaign performing badly, it's not really the campaign, it's basically down to the keywords that you have in a campaign. So by going more granular and understanding what are the keywords that's actually seeing a bad performance because maybe it's dropped off in conversion rate or an increase in CPC, you can really tailor and adjust these CPC's metric to make sure that you are adjusting the CPC to hit your target ACoS. So avoid pausing campaign because if you do pause campaign, it will affect the whole flywheel effect. Your sale velocity might decrease, and you probably see a worse performance overall. Next point is be more careful when PPC for organic ranking. That as doesn't mean that you're in your sector that let's say you sell hand sanitizer and obviously there's a surge in demand in hand sanitizer. Now doesn't mean that you're seeing an increase in demand that you should be increasing ad because let's say for example your review or your rating is below par. Let's say compared to your competitors, you got a 3.5 3-star review. You should be really mindful that a lot of the personal behavior on Amazon is down to the review and the ratings that you have for your products. So as well as don't blindly just increase your budget, but also be aware that about your ratings and your review and adjust it accordingly to make sure that you're not just wasting ad budget basically. And the last point is really, as in the long-term success of Amazon, in order for you to be ranked higher than competitors, is down to, as in one of the points that Amazon look at is your conversion rate. Now, one good thing that you can use, which as in if you're a branded seller and if you're registered as a brand on Amazon, is if you go to if you know a particular keywords is very important for you, and you know that it's got a huge level of traffic and it's something that you want to get ranked for and above your competitors, what you can do is you can use that keyword, go on brand analytics, use the search term report, and put that keyword in there, and just identify whether if you're in the top 3 click and conversion share, you can kind of compare your performance against your competitors to see if you are converting more than your competitors. Now, if it is that case, these are like perfect keywords that you should allocate more budget towards, or even create a single campaign keyword for it, so you can have allocate its own budget for that keyword, because these are very important keywords that you're better than your competitors, right? Because you're converting more. So again, you can use brand analytics in that way to identify these kind of insights for you. And the kind of final point is, I think the consumer is doing 2 things right now. Either they're consuming more because they're at home, they're using, for example, let's say toilet rolls. They're going to they're not going to work, right? So they're using the toilet more often at home. So people are buying more toilet rolls, as well as the second thing is people are basically buying in bulk. So they're forward buying. So the future purchases is being brought to the present moment. So if you're facing these, the second point, the latter, you probably want to consider, if people are buying in bulk, you want to probably consider creating a variation. For example, 3 for 2s. The other thing that you probably have to be mindful is, if you create a variation, you either can fulfill it yourself, or if you're FBA, you probably have to be sending these variation packs to Amazon. So just be mindful of that. Again, this will increase, give you a better ACOS. You'll be more profitable, as it will increase your AOV. Again, if these purchases, people are buying in bulk, you want to increase your budget as well, because you want to bring your budget forward and increase your budget so you can allocate more budget towards these ASINs that's been bought in bulk. Don't know if you find anything more to that.
No, I mean, I guess maybe just a point here, if you can see my cursor, where this idea of using PPC for organic ranking. So, I mean, it's quite a blunt instrument that was successful, I think, historically. So if you think some of your competitors have dropped out, and you want to be increasing your PPC budget to almost spend your way up the organic rankings, it just doesn't work as well as it used to, and it's pretty expensive exercise to go and do that. And as we said, ultimately, the long-term success is much more aligned to what your conversion rate is versus your competitors. So there is a way to benchmark that now via the brand analytics, at least for the top 3, to see where you are. And it's just you've got to weigh that up. What is it going to take to get into the top 3 organic, and is it worth it, the incremental revenue there versus what it's going to take to spend my way there? But it's a blunt instrument, and we're not recommending, as a general rule, we wouldn't recommend that sort of strategy. But otherwise I think everything's pretty well covered there. I'm sure there must be quite a few questions on all of this, but I think we can probably defer those to the end, if that's all right. Cool, thanks, Shanil. So the next session is just the future plans of the Audit Tool, and this is what I alluded to earlier there, Shelley, which is effectively helping us prioritize. And so these are the questions that we get asked quite a lot for the next iteration of it. Shelley, you brought up a new use case there, which if the people on this webinar think that is, I'd love to understand how important is that. Can you incorporate my specific ACOS goals in the analysis there? So let's say when you're setting up one of these audits and you set audit and you're putting in your branded terms or whatever it may be, actually I want to put in an ACOS as well, and then we can tailor the recommendations based on an actual number instead of being what is currently a little more general, because we don't know what your ACOS goal is. The second one is an interesting one. So the second one is about benchmarking your performance. So, we collect the data on a very aggregated level across different countries, across different sectors. And so we're able to actually put together these reports and say, well, what happened in the cosmetic sector to the ACOS in the UK? Did it increase? Did it decrease? Or what are the conversion rates looking like in, whatever it is, furniture in the US, or whatever the sector is and whatever the geography is? And so can we now start incorporating these benchmarking, these numbers into the analysis? And so if we know your, the example I've listed there is your ACOS of 45 is above the average of 25, for instance. And so this data is coming from across all our customers, as I said, anonymized, aggregated, et cetera, but still relevant to your sector. And so I think that gives a nice assessment of where you are and where you could be, or what's needed to get to, to take it to the next level. The third bullet point there is, currently we're focused just on sponsored products, but clearly we can expand this to incorporate sponsored brands and sponsored display. I mean, right now, of course, sponsored products are the vast majority of budgets, even more so during the COVID period, right? People are just sort of very focused on performance and profitability, and so the sort of higher up the funnel stuff is not getting much budget. But of course, this is something that of course we would look to incorporate. The question is, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And so just we'd love some guidance on how important it would be to incorporate sponsored brands and sponsored display. The last one is getting away from PPC, is just the listings or an SEO audit. Now, of course, I know there are tools like Helium 10 and Jungle Scout that could do this via Chrome plugins, etc. But I guess some of the ideas we have around this could probably take this to a different level, meaning because we know what the highest, this is one example, because we know what the highest converting terms on the PPC side are for you, we could certainly give you a list of these terms to include in the listings and SEO. We're also plugged into brand analytics data, so we know what, in general, in your sector, for instance, what terms are trending or what terms were trending that you shouldn't be using, etc. So there's some interesting things we could do on the listings audits, in addition to the general sort of housekeeping stuff around, you only have 4 images, or only use 2 bullet points, or that kind of stuff. So those are some of the ideas. Clearly, there's a bunch of things that I haven't even mentioned here. Shelley, you used a really good one there. If there are any other ideas, would love to hear about them. Well, of course, none of this would be complete without the special offers. So effectively, this is a freemium product, meaning there's a free version and a paid for version. And so the paid for version, the main differences would be being able to do an audit on an individual campaign basis. So you can select which campaigns to audit instead of auditing your entire account, for instance. And the other main difference would be the branded versus non-branded is only reserved for the pro version. And so we're just, anyone from this webinar can sign up, and we'll give you 3 months free for the pro version, plus a 10-minute call with Shanil to go over your results and answer some questions. Could be related to the audit, but I suspect a lot of them might be more sort of general questions about PPC in this weird time. So I've got the link there of where you can go to sign up, but Shanil's created some videos there. We'll be creating some more as well around how to use the audit tool, going through a sample audit and specific use cases on there. So those are videos that you can go and watch as well. I think that is pretty much it for the presentation. So I think maybe we can do some Q&A.
Okay, if anyone has, press my button. If anyone has more questions, post them in the questions tab, and I will get to those. So look what we have. Question. I guess the first question is one for me, actually. So
yeah.
And sorry, my connection is dropping in and out, so I may have missed this earlier. But when you have a recommendation, for example, you have these 100 search terms are in an auto campaign or a broad match campaign and should be promoted. Does your tool automate that process so you can say, yes, click these, promote them for me?
Yeah, so good question there. So there's essentially three modules to what we do. Number one is just the audit. Number two is the the actual bid management side of it, right? Meaning set up a campaign, optimize a campaign, and report on a campaign. And the third one is that retail analytics. So the audit tool is not going to automatically implement them. It's just a report that tells you, what to do or recommend what to do. The actual implementation of the audit, you can either do it via our bid management tool, or of course you could just do it in whatever tool you're using effectively. But it's the actual implementation of the recommendations is going to be is not part of the audit. That's part of the actual bid management tool, or you can do it on your own or whatever it is.
Okay, so we've got a question here from Phil about how you manage promoting campaigns. Let me read it out. This is going to be relevant for the bid management part.
Yeah.
So do you keep successful keywords in a campaign, pause the others, and then copy the campaign to continue it with successful keywords negated in the new campaign? Because what he's thinking is the ones that are successful in the existing campaign, I guess you want the history and the age of the campaign to be kept with those.
Yeah, I mean, Shanil, maybe you can take that. I can give a sort of high level of that. We've got a migration tool that would do that. We'll probably just create another ad group, and so you don't lose out on that history. So it's more about taking it from auto into exact sort of within the same campaign, but creating a new ad group that's a branded exact ad group or a non-branded exact ad group. But Shanil, maybe you've got some more to share on that.
Well, essentially, I think, like Rael said, we'll create, as in the purpose of, as in the migration rule, is to optimally create campaigns to allow the migration to happen. For example, we will have the research campaign, which comprises of the broad keywords, and the auto campaign as well as a performance, which has the exact match. So having these three kind of campaigns, which will help the migration to optimize kind of the performance. Yeah. So as in not really much to add on that on my side.
Yeah, there's a question on the negation there. So yeah, part of when we do the harvesting and we migrate it to branded exact or whatever it may be, absolutely we would do the required negation in auto or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I didn't see that part. So yeah, sorry. In terms of negation, we'll do it because, for example, if you take what we'll do is if you take a keyword, a search term from auto, it will add it in broad as well as exact, and negate it in auto as a negative phrase and in broad as a negative exact, to basically avoid any sort of duplication, basically. So yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Yeah. Okay. So, but just to be clear, that's not part of the audit, right? So that's the sort of management side of stuff, the keyword harvesting side. Yeah.
Okay, Phil, if that hasn't answered your question, Phil, then ask another one or let us know. Okay, question from Aziz. Does Nozzle work in European markets and by extension international markets as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the good things about Amazon's API is that they're global. So you can also connect multiple seller accounts to Nozzle. So you sign up to Nozzle within whatever address, but then you can add multiple seller accounts to Nozzle, and you'll have access to all of that. So we operate pretty much wherever you can run PPC campaigns.
And if I have multiple Amazon accounts, do I have to have multiple subscriptions to Nozzle, or can I put them all into one?
No, it's all going to be in one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. The kind of paraphrasing mixed question here. Do you have a recommendation of how a beginner can best use Nozzle's audit tool to help them getting started?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it depends what you mean by beginning there. If you're launching products, then it's better suited to something that's, I guess, not launched, because there's sort of too many unknowns, and it's quite hard to come up with specific advice when you're just launching. But if it has been in the market for a little while, a couple of months, whatever it is, then I would say then absolutely you could use. I mean, the best thing to do, frankly, is to book a time with Shanil, putting him on the spot there, and then as part of the offer, and then we can talk through, because really it's hard to do the audit in isolation, right? You need to understand, especially if you're just starting out, you need to understand people's goals first. And I think we can give whatever generic advice we could, but without asking the fundamental questions first around your business goals. If you're just starting out, we're going to lose all context in that. So I think the best thing there is to book a time.
And I agree. I think a lot of beginners, especially, they just think, oh, it's PPC, I'll advertise it. They don't really take a step back and think about fits in their business and
Yeah.
really what their budget is or what it means.
Yeah, I mean, PPC for us, I agree. I mean, as I keep saying, I know we've built a PPC tool, but it really comes right at the end of the process, right? I mean, it's once you've understood your goals and your strategy and sorted out the inventory and everything else that kind of goes with it. Right now, what do I do on the PPC to do that? And PPC is not going to fix the more fundamental issues. If your listing is bad, if you're selling in an extremely competitive market, those sorts of issues, no amount of PPC is going to fix that problem ultimately.
Sure. Okay, question from Phil again. Bid management. Does the software handle bid placement adjustments? I guess this is when you say want to pay a multiple to appear at the top of search, etc.
Yeah. So that is something. It's not actually. In fact, that's an interesting thing to include in the audit. The bid management part of the software will incorporate the placement data. I mean, I don't want to go, I guess, too much into the sort of bid management side, but ultimately the first thing we do on the bid management is literally ask what your goal is from the campaign. And for us, it was kind of quite amazing to me, which no one really does that. Like, are you looking to be very profitability focused, meaning ACOS, for instance? Are you looking to acquire new customers? Is this a product launch? Which have got completely different implications on how you want to spend your budget on what terms and what match types, right? I mean, if you're new to brand, don't spend so much on your own branded terms and target competitor terms a hell of a lot more. If you're very ACOS focused, then you're going to, by definition, be focused on the most profitable terms, which tend to skew towards your branded terms, for instance. And so, asking what your goal is, and the reason I say that in the placement is because there's actually huge differences in the price you're going to pay depending on the placement, right? Top of search and rest of search are massive differences there. So ultimately, if you are very ACOS focused, is it worth paying such a premium for top of search? Your conversion rates might be higher, for instance, but is it worth that paying such a premium for that? And so those are the trade-offs there, and that's why, again, understanding people's goals is always the first thing to do. So we will report on that in the bid management side, but it kind of gets incorporated into what your actual goals are in the first place.
Okay. Question from David about how this would apply to the wholesale model. I mean, David, I work in wholesale myself, and I don't know, I'm not entirely sure what the question means. I mean, if you are working with products where you can advertise them and it makes sense to run PPC, then I don't see how this tool wouldn't work for those. I don't know if Shanil or Rael has any other comments.
I'm not quite sure what that means. Maybe if you can clarify.
I mean, the thing I find is that with wholesale, is often the margins are smaller, so you don't want to spend on pay-per-click. But that's just it's a different game. You're trying to find products that will sell without pay-per-click instead of
100%
branding.
100%.
Hello, Richard.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
Hi, guys.
Hey,
how's it going?
Hey, Richard.
I was listening in a bit earlier, but for a brief while. But now I've joined you guys on stage.
Richard is our resident ScaleForEtail pay-per-click
Okay,
expert,
I've lost my page, but it looks hang on.
Yeah.
Fire questions at him. Do you have any screenshots of the platform and tool in use?
There are a couple of things. Some of the screenshots I took in this presentation, the one I've literally just done here, are actual screenshots. The second thing is you can watch any of the videos that I linked to on the last slide of the presentation, which will take you through. And the third thing is it's free to sign up and, and go experience it. So I guess 3 ways to get a sense of what it looks like.
It looks to me like Richard and Shelley have lost the connection because they're both in the same place, but we'll see.
Okay.
Okay, and does the software, bid management software, I guess, enable day parting? So can you target different times of the day?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's it's amazing to me that Amazon can, I think they do about 12-13 billion in ad revenue per year, and they've got there without day parting, which pretty much any other ad platform has.
Yeah, but you look at the functionality of Amazon compared to AdWords or something, it's just
incredible.
1/10 of the functionality.
Yeah. So you can do day parting via the APIs. Absolutely.
Okay, great.
I should say as well, we do analysis around what time of day do most of your conversions happen. And so if, quite a common pattern is kind of double peak, meaning morning and sort of before and after work, or during the commute even. And so you want to be day parting to a larger budget allocation during those periods. But if you take it one step further, yes, there might be most of your conversions happening during that period, but it could also be the most expensive time to advertise. Your ACoS might be highest during that period, or your CPCs might be highest during those periods. And so again, it goes back to what your goals are. If you're very ACoS focused,
I can't listen.
you actually, yes, you might be very ACoS focused, and so do you really want to be spending or paying a premium during those hours, even though most of your conversions happen? However, if you're product launch focused or sales velocity focused, then yeah, sure, you probably do want to allocate most of your budget during that time.
Yeah. Okay. Question from Roberto about so you recommended to have a good eye on CVR, conversion rates. When you sell a premium product, you won't be most likely in the top 3 converting ASINs. How do you adapt your strategy?
I'm probably going to have to Shanil, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to reread that. But
I think.
Yeah, go for it.
I think that's tying into the brand analytics section, right? When I was talking about how you can benchmark it, you look at your CVR compared to your competitors. So if you're not in the top 200,000 whatever search term it is, so what you can do is just look at your PPC campaign, right? Look at identifying what are the search terms that are seeing the highest CVR, and really focusing on these search terms. Really, that's kind of the only thing you can do. My point was pretty much saying, if you want to get ranked in the long term in terms of higher than your competitor, you can kind of use brand analytics to double check and clarify what are the keywords where you're getting the higher conversion rate compared to your competitors that you can double down on and to allocate more budget towards. I'm not sure if you want to add more to that, Rael. Or...
No, I think that's good.
Does that answer the question, Roberto, or I'm not too sure?
Roberto, if it doesn't, just ask another question and we'll get back to it. Question from Adam, double checking works on all EU and .com sites, which I've answered, yes, it does. But how is this segregated within the platform? So do you have different views from different countries?
Yeah, you'd per marketplace, absolutely. So if you want to see everything going on in the UK versus there's everything related that comes up there, you can switch it to everything related in Germany or whatever it may be as well, US, whatever it is.
Okay, great.
I jump in here. Sorry, I apologise, but Richard joining crashed our system. So
you're asking the question on his behalf then?
Yeah, no, it's actually the question that Phil asked, which I thought was about day parting.
Yes.
What's the answer? Is it a yes or a no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you missed that. It was quite a long answer. The short answer is yes.
Good. I believe that it's actually a really effective tool to be using.
Oh, absolutely. And the number of people that run out of ad budget at
exactly
is crazy, especially because we also get the data when the conversions are happening. So if we know that most of your conversions are happening 7 to 9 in the evening, but you're running out of budget at 2, I mean, that's just a disaster. I mean, that's terrible.
Yeah, so, and we use that quite extensively. We have in Q4 in particular, when everybody does run out of budget, we have a heat map of when our sales are at their peak.
Exactly.
So we manage our PPC that way.
Absolutely.
To maximize the budget. Yeah. That's really critical. Okay, good to know. Cool.
A follow-up from David about pay-per-click on wholesale products. He's basically saying that he understands that the listing should have the same keywords that pay-per-click has. My response to that, David, is that yes, it helps, but it's not essential. If you're doing wholesale, you can still run ads using any keywords you want, but also you do have some capability to change listings depending on what the product is, and you can sometimes change descriptions and add text to them. So there are various possibilities even when you're doing wholesale. And then Adam is following up saying that it's about different countries. So yeah, I think Adam, we've already answered that because you have different marketplaces.
When you're doing the audit, you select from a drop down what account you want to audit, then you select what market, all the list of marketplaces pop up, and so you can select by that, and then then the list of campaigns associated with that come up, and you can select all or few or whatever you like.
Okay, I think that is everyone's questions answered.
I do have one that I'm going to pitch in, which either people have not thought of, or if they have, I'm going to pitch it in anyway. And that's the one about how would you recommend somebody who's using Helium 10 or somebody who's using Viral Launch or somebody who's using PPC, any of the other tools that are out there, which some of us may be using?
Sure.
You know, why would we come over to you guys? What else are we going to get?
Yeah, I mean, I think, they're effectively just focused on the bid management side of things, right? Setting up, creating campaigns, optimizing, reporting, etc. You know, the audit component of what we're doing is effectively some sort of optimization engine anyway. So doing these, the audit combined with that is something that I guess nobody else offers. And also, you know, we look to answer the so what question, right? It's all very well, I can overload you with all sorts of data sets and fancy graphs and all that, but you know, we're always thinking to ourselves, I've tasked every single person in whether you're a data scientist, an engineer, or a salesperson, you know, emblazoned the so what there, right? And so how do we best make use of your time here? What do I need to focus on right now in order to achieve my goals? And so there's a laser focus on respectful of your time. And so, you know, it's not just a report, it's going one further, saying here are the recommendations we make, and here are the most, and we've actually prioritized them for you, what we think are going to be the most impactful ones as well. There's another point to make, which is we're also connected into the retail side of things. So we get, you know, if you give us permission, we can plug into all your sales data and all of that, and therefore we can do a whole bunch of analysis around repeat purchase behavior, customer lifetime value, and what does that mean for my PPC strategy? So we always bring it back and say, well, right, I know somebody on average makes 10 purchases because it's supplements or whatever it is. What does this mean I should do on the PPC side? So what, right? And so I think those are the areas where we're quite different to everybody else.
Good. Okay. Thank you. But I guess people could get the audit and then use one of those other tools if they chose to.
Yeah, the audit tool ultimately is is a separate product, so to speak. So you could run the audit, you get the report, and you can implement them in Viral Launch or in Seller Central, whatever you like. Clearly, you know, using our tool to do that is automated and more frictionless, and you save even more time and everything else doing that, right? But we have made the decision to, I guess, separate it out if you really want.
And if we are using your tool, like the whole hog, how does the audit tool part work for us then?
If you've signed up to the bid management side of what we do, then the audit tool is actually just free, right? Because part of the onboarding for it is, you know, if you want to use our bid management tool, you sign up. And part of the onboarding experience is saying like, hey, look, we've already done the analysis of some quick wins for you here, right? You know, again, in sort of 10 minutes, we've proven our value, we hope, by doing that. So yeah, the audit tool kind of gets rolled into the bid management side.
No, but what I mean is when we are an existing customer, does the audit function kind of appear there automatically?
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this got covered because I got kicked out of the stupid system for a while, but I saw some questions or some requests to actually see a bit of a walkthrough of the system. How are we able to do?
Yeah, sure. There were screenshots. There's a question about screenshots. So the slides I used for this presentation are actual screenshots. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the very last slide has actually got a link to some videos where Shanil walks through some of that. And the third thing, of course, is, you know, it's free to sign up as well. So 3 options there.
Okay, so we could take a look and try it out. And just see whether we like it first.
Of course. It's free anyway. It's literally, you know, if you don't like, you can, you know, watch a video, and if it's not for you, then of course that's obviously fine.
Yeah.
One question about the offer you made. Is that an automatic thing from the link you gave, or do the people have to email you to activate the offer, or how does that work?
I'll probably get in touch with you with at this point, because we've, you know, just launched it. It is a little bit more manual, but we're pretty liberal with that. So yeah. So people just go to the link. It doesn't look like it's a special ScaleForEtail link, but no, it's not a special link. And then register with that, and then contact Rael, and he'll help hook you up with the call with Shanil and the free access.
You're also coming back to talk about customer lifetime value, aren't you? You mentioned.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite topics, shall we say? So I'll be back. I hope you like me, but I'll be back with to discuss customer
now in the chat, so people can go and sign up to that now. It's on the 14th of May.
So that's customer lifetime value, and that's a lot more sort of strategic thinking around your Amazon business there. To build any sort of long-term sustainable business, you have to be thinking about how profitable is each customer over the entire lifetime that I have a relationship with that particular customer, and so many decisions follow from that if you understand the process and if you understand if you can actually put numbers to it. As I said, if you know that somebody over their lifetime spends £100 with you or £200 with you because there are a lot of repeat purchases, well, that's got a huge implication for what you can do on the PPC side, because I can spend up to £200 acquiring that customer, right? And therefore, and it's still going to be profitable because I understand what happens after that first purchase. And so, yeah, that's a very, very strategic lever that you can use with pretty powerful. We've seen amazing results if people put in the effort to understand that and adjust the PPC side accordingly. Of course, not all products lend themselves to a lot of repeat purchases, right? If you're selling very high value furniture or things like that, it's you might have to wait a good few years before somebody ever buys from you again, if they ever buy from you again. So it's not for all products, but for those that do lend themselves to repeat purchases, it's a very powerful tool.
Yeah,
I think so. I was doing some coaching work with somebody, and in the reviews, it was made clear that this product is actually bought by business people in the US.
Right.
Which, when you think you've got a consumer product, you need to actually be aware.
Amazing.
What you're finding is that your business, you actually have some business customers that you never knew potentially that you got.
Yeah, so exactly, and we would be able to break that down as well, right?
That tool in that kind of circumstance.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, lands up, you might have a bigger B2B business than a B2C business.
Exactly. Unbeknownst
Amazing.
to you. Yeah. Cool. Good. All right. Well,
Brilliant.
Thank you to both of you.
And thank you for having me. It's been great. I appreciate it.
It's been really great to hear your insights and actually to hear about the tool. I think it's a great tool. I personally am going to get my stuff audited, but we won't be publishing the results because I don't want to be embarrassed. No.
You can share the successes.
Yeah, I'll share the successes. Exactly. So thank you to everybody. Thanks for your time.
A quick shout out about next week before we go.
Yeah, sure. So we've got Mark Casey on next week, haven't we?
We do. So those of you that came to the White Label Expo in London, has my connection gone again?
No, you're still there.
Fine.
Okay, so I can't see me, but you can hear me. Okay, fine. So those who came to the White Label Expo in London, Mark Casey was the most popular speaker there. And he blew some people's minds with the content he was giving. And we're very excited to have him come and speak with us on the webinar next week. He's coming in live from New York at 3 p.m. The webinar will be. And he's talking about launching and ranking products, which is everyone's favorite topic. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you all are as well. I don't know if the link worked before my browser crashed.
Yes.
I did put a link in the chat, so you can sign up now, and we'll also send an email reminding people about that soon. So hope we see you all next week at 3 p.m.
No, the link didn't work before your browser crashed, but if we put a post out in the group, if you guys all would like to sign up there.
It will be promoted to the group, and it should be a link in the email you get following up from this webinar as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'll be really exciting. He's obviously got some black hat stuff as well, but it is mainly white hat, obviously. So it should be a really great session.
Take care, everyone.
Brilliant.
All I see is a frozen screen, so I hope you can still hear me. Take care, everyone, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
Thanks.
bye. Take care.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao. Bye-bye.